Hey guys, great to see you. Joe here and welcome to another video, and thank you very much for joining me. Okay, so all the usual stuff applies. If you find the video helpful or useful in any way, perhaps you could click on that like or subscribe. And for anybody who's looking to help support me continue on making the lessons, there are some links down below. Okay, now all that's out the way, let's get on with this week's lesson. Now before we get started, it might be worth me mentioning that I've done some previous Robert Johnson videos which I'll put some links to down below. If you haven't checked out my introduction to open E tuning, you might like to look at that. There'll be a link to that also down below, and that's going to be very relevant to what we're looking at today. Now in this lesson I'd like to take a look at a song by Robert Johnson called Rambling on My Mind. This is an absolute favourite of mine, and it's a great song, and with a little bit of practice I'm hoping that I can help you come to terms with this song and be able to play the song. Now there's been many different versions of the song, and very few of them are actually similar to one another. Of course it was written by Robert Johnson, but many people have covered the song. Clapton has done a version in standard tuning as well as open tuning. My favourite version of Clapton's was on the Robert Johnson sessions, where he did a version of this, and he also did an unplugged version of this song. Well worth checking out. Okay, so this is my own rendition of the song, and I've put this together because I think it's a kind of accessible for you. I don't want to make it too complicated so many people won't be able to play it. So I've put together a version which is, as I say, accessible for you to kind of get to grips with, okay? Okay, so this song is in open E tuning, okay? Now, I cover all of this in the introduction to open E tuning, so it's very worthwhile you taking a look at that. But for those of you who haven't, the tuning, the E string, the thin E here, stays the same, it's an E. The B also stays the same, so you have a B. The G goes to a G sharp, so that goes up a semitone. That G is now a G sharp. Then we have another E. So that D is going up a whole tone to an E. The A goes up a whole tone to a B. And the E stays the same. You play all those notes together and you have an open E chord. Okay. So that's the first thing you need to do, get yourself tuned up. Okay, so I'm going to break this song into two parts, and the first part will be looking at the rhythm, which is kind of 90% of the song, and in part two I'll be showing you the slide. Okay? Now like I say, the rhythm is by far and away the most important part of these songs. Many songs that I look at, it's the rhythm which you're looking to master, because without that sounding very solid, it's not going to sound very good. So depending upon how much time you spend on the rhythm, obviously that will determine how good you get it. So let's dive in and start taking a look at the rhythm. Now the first chord, which is just up there, is like an E7, okay? And so it's this position here. And what's important about this is the timing. So we have a 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. If you listen to my kind of introduction to the song and you count that, you'll see how it makes sense. So we have 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, yeah? So what you're looking to do here is get this rhythm which goes 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. So each of these kind of things, the open section we play twice, and the chord we play twice. That kind of idea. And that's very important. Without that feel, it's not going to really sound like the song. Now let's forget about the dampening and all the technical side of things for the moment. We're just going to look at the chords, okay? So that's our opening chord, this kind of E position. It's actually an A, but you know, for what you're probably familiar with in standard tuning, it looks like an E7, okay? So from that chord it goes up to an A, and that just remains the same, like as if we were in standard tuning. So we're barring that 5th fret, and we apply exactly the same count. So it's 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1. Now all we're doing is we're putting this 3rd finger on the 5th string 7th fret. So we have 1 and, so it's the same, we strum that twice, and then we strum this twice with our finger on that 7th fret 5th string. 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and back to the E. 1 and 2 and 1 and 2 and 1. Yeah. And then the only other thing is the B chord, which is not surprisingly on the 7th fret. Full bar, 1 and, same principle, where this finger again comes to the 5th string, only it goes to the 9th fret this time. So we have 1 and 2 and 1 and 2, 1 and 2 and 1 and 2. Now this is the turnaround section, okay? We can play very, very simply, and we can just go from the 5th string 3rd fret. So we're just plucking the 5th string and the bottom string. Yeah, so we're just going 3, 2, 1 on the 5th string. Then open. Okay, so it's... Now that's the most basic. Okay, now if you want to, you can also add the 2nd string to that equation and just play. Okay, so it's all the same. So that's another way you can play it, or you can play. If you want to get a little bit more fancy, you can play the 2nd and the 5th and the 6th and just kind of mix it up a little bit. So you have... Okay, so there's 3 different options there. You got the... Okay, and what I kind of play on the actual song is... So I'm playing a lot between this 1st and 2nd strings here. So I'm playing this note, 5th string and the 1st string together. So just watch that right hand there. Yeah. Sometimes you just got to get the sound in your head. I know you need to kind of see what's happening and everything else, but what's far more important in a way is hearing it. Okay, so you got... And then what you can do is you can just slide on this bass 6th string here up to the 5th fret and then play an open 5th string. You got that? Or you can actually play, and that's just the 7th fret, 4th and 6th strings. So there are many variations you can play on this, okay? So it's essential that you just start at a level that you can manage rather than struggling with things that are going to take you an eternity. So and then we're back in again to the rhythm side of things. Okay, so that's the kind of essence, that's the kind of basics of it. Let me just play that round for you one more time so you can see what you're aiming for. And one other little thing you can add to this, which really does make a difference, is an upstroke occasionally. Now, don't start trying to do this until you're comfortable with the rhythm. I wouldn't suggest that you do that anyway. You can try, but try and get comfortable with everything before you kind of start introducing something new. So you can do that kind of thing, which is 2 open, and then you're hammering on that chord. Yeah, so might feel a little unusual at first. So you do 2, hammer on, and then an upstroke. So you got yeah, and you can do it here. That kind of idea. Okay, now what is making this sound very different is the technique. Okay, and that's the right hand and the left hand technique, because there's a lot of dampening going on. So once you've got that basic structure in place and you can go between the chords and you're comfortable about everything, then you need to start thinking about the dampening of the song. Okay, so in real terms, what we're looking to do is, you can see I'm strumming it and I'm killing it very soon after. And that's just resting this palm on the string. So we got now it sounds much better when we do this. But it does take some time, so don't expect it to happen overnight. You will get there with this, but just be patient. And so what you're looking to do is you kind of you're just killing those strings, you're killing the sound of it, and more importantly you're killing it after each strum. So sometimes it's after 1 strum, sometimes it's after 2, like. So let me slow it down so you can kind of analyze and see what's happening here. So try and aim for something like that to start with. Just play these things very slowly and don't worry about the speed, because the speed will come. So we're looking to go. So that's the kind of thing you should be looking to do. And then once you've got that dampening happening, you can start bringing it up to tempo. So that essentially is the rhythm side of things. There's a lot more than what it kind of seems on the face of it there to think about. Hopefully, you can get started with it without worrying too much about the technicalities, but I just don't want you to overlook them and then just race on to something else, because a number like this is really well worth you spending the time. It's so rewarding once you get all these little things happening together. It moves your playing on to the next level, which I'm sure is something that you're all looking to do. So that in a sense covers a lot of the rhythm side of the song, which I say is 80-90% of the song. And so you should really be looking to get that kind of mastered, because there's no way you're going to kind of put a slide on your finger and start putting all those slide parts in until you have mastered that rhythm side of things, which I'm sure you can do. And remember that there's always space to make it your own. Usually that happens when you're kind of comfortable with the basics of the song, and then you can just, you know, do a little something to make it your own. You know, that's kind of quite important. But, you know, conversely, if you're looking to kind of play it like me, then you can do that as well. So I hope that that helps you with the rhythm side of things. Now, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to drop me a note down below there, and I'll do my very best to get back to you. And once you've got this sorted, then you can move on to part 2. So thanks for watching, and I look forward to seeing you soon.